If you're looking for a short getaway from the hustle and bustle of the Twin Cities where you can not only grab a piece of nature, grab a beer, and learn about the tons of history, then look no further, because we are in Duluth, Minnesota. Now, if you want to get a first-hand look of what this North Shore city has to offer, then you don't want to miss this one. Stay tuned. What's going on, guys? BrandonArchie here, aka your favorite Minnesota realtor, and by popular demand, today we are all the way up in Duluth, Minnesota. Or at least we were in Duluth. Now, I was gonna shoot the whole video there outside, but believe it or not, I'm a pretty shy person and I hate walking around talking to my camera when people are watching me. And because it was the week of July 4th, it was really busy up there and people everywhere. So, here we are. But don't worry, I have plenty of B-roll. Now, first, before we get started, as always, if you are thinking about moving to Minnesota, whether it be now or next year, then shoot me an email at BrandonArchie@kw.com so that we can set up a meeting to talk about what it is you're looking for and put together a plan to make your move as smooth as possible. Now, let's get started. Okay, so Duluth, Minnesota, aka the North Shore, is about 2.5 hours from Minneapolis and is the 4th largest city in Minnesota with a population of just under 88,000. The median household income in Duluth is also 86,000 and the median age is 35, which I would attribute to the University of Minnesota's second location being located up there in Duluth. Now, Duluth is a city that I love going to whenever I need a little mini vacation because there are so many different things to do and it not only attracts people from the Twin Cities, but also from cities all over the United States. Well, just last week, I was golfing with a couple of guys that were all the way up there visiting from New Orleans, Louisiana. Now, probably one of the biggest draws of Duluth is the fact that it borders Lake Superior, which is the largest freshwater lake in the United States. And a fun fact is that the lake is so big that it could actually cover North America and South America in 1 foot of water. Now, I personally have nicknamed this lake Minnesota's Ocean. Now, another one of the biggest things that Duluth is known for are all of its ports, which were used back in the 1800s to transport a variety of things such as lumber, grain, coal, and iron ore, just to name a few. Duluth is also really good at embracing its roots and providing visitors the chance to get a glimpse of its history. For instance, like being able to tour this huge cargo ship that was used way back when to transport tons and tons of coal. That is, until it was put out of commission due to the engine blowing up. But on little tours like this, you can get a first-hand look of how things were done way back when, and you can also see how the crew members lived. Now, if you get a chance to take this tour, I would definitely highly recommend it. Just make sure you have good knees because some of these stairwells that you have to walk up are pretty steep. Now, getting to the fun stuff, Duluth is such a fun weekend trip because there are so many different things to do, whether you like breweries, nature, or history. Now, Canal Park is where everything goes down in Duluth and is where you'll probably end up if you're a tourist. Now, Canal Park is full of fun local shops, restaurants, breweries, and overall entertainment. How many times have I said breweries so far? Now, Canal Park also has an old lighthouse that you can go walk out to and take in all the views of Lake Superior. Just be careful if you're wearing a hat because it gets pretty windy once you get close to the water. Now, one of my favorite things is that Duluth fully embraces the North Shore with their Lake Walk, which is an 8-mile paved road meant for pedestrians and bikers to walk alongside Lake Superior and also makes it pretty convenient to walk over to Canal Park if you're staying downtown. Now, there are also plenty of places where you can pull off to the side of the trail and take a few pictures or unleash your inner child and skip some rocks. Now, I can't say it enough, but Duluth is such a beautiful city with tons of views. One of my favorite views in restaurants is the Harbor 360, which is actually on the top floor of the Radisson Hotel downtown. Now, not only is the food here amazing, but if you want to see literally 360 views of Duluth, then this is where you need to be because the restaurant actually slowly spins around while you're eating so that you can see Duluth from every angle. Now, I know what you're thinking. Spinning around while you're eating may sound like you would get sick, but the platform you're on moves so slow that after a minute or two, you don't even really notice it anymore. And if you stay there for about 45 minutes or so, that should be enough time to make a full lap around the restaurant. Now, my personal suggestion would be to go there during breakfast, and if you do, make sure to get the chicken and waffles. You won't regret it. Okay, now moving on to some of the history of Duluth. Now, probably one of the most historic features of Duluth is the Glensheen Mansion, which is a 20,000 square foot, 39-room mansion on 12 acres of land. Now, the Glensheen Mansion was built by the Congdon family and was built in 1908 for just $894,000. Now, both when it was built and still to this day, the Glensheen Mansion is the most expensive home in Duluth, although the mansion is currently not for sale and was actually donated to the University of Minnesota. Now, if you're into murder mysteries, then you'll definitely want to visit the Glensheen because it just so happens that there was a double murder all the way back in 1977, which was all set up by the adopted daughter, Marjorie Congdon. Now, Marjorie had her husband Roger break into the house and murder both the youngest daughter of the Congdons and one of the maids. And if you're paying close enough attention, you can actually still see remnants of the bloodstains on the wall going up the staircase. Now, Marjorie was acquitted of the murder and she later moved to Arizona, but she still got herself into some legal trouble down there and spent some time in prison. But the craziest part is that she's still alive to this day. But enough of that. I would highly recommend doing one of the self-guided tours if you happen to make it up there because the home itself is amazing. And I would have thrown in some clips of the inside, but they wouldn't let me record. But if you're watching this and you've been to the Glensheen mansion before, leave a comment below on what you thought about the home. Okay, so moving on from murders and all that jazz, another thing that you should do if you get a chance is to head up to Two Harbors, which is a small town just north of Duluth. Now, if you head up there, you'll definitely get that small town vibe with all the mom and pop restaurants, local ice cream shops, and you can even take the scenic road and get some beautiful views of Lake Superior. Now, probably one of the biggest reasons why you would head up to Two Harbors is to get some of Betty's pies, which are pretty famous on the North Shore. Now, I finally had them for the first time ever, and I can say overall it was pretty good. But if I'm being objective though, I will say that I do prefer my pies with a little more crust on them. I ended up getting the bumbleberry pie, which is strawberries, blueberries, and raspberries mixed together, and it tasted like they were picked right off the tree and put right into the pie. So they definitely had a very fresh taste to them. Just be prepared to wait in line though, because it is a very popular destination and they do stay pretty busy. Now, another one of the most notable things to do up in Two Harbors is to visit Goosberry Falls State Park, which is probably Minnesota's most popular park. Now, the waterfalls at Gooseberry are probably the main draw to this park, and they're separated by the lower, middle, and upper falls. And these different vantage points will definitely give you plenty of photo opportunities, but you could also bring the kids and play in the water if you like. Gooseberry Falls also has 70 different campsites that are open all year round if you want to enjoy some nature, as well as 18 miles of hiking trails and 8 miles of biking trails. Now, if you have a few days in Duluth, I would highly recommend heading up to Gooseberry for at least a few hours since it's so close. Just be careful if you do end up camping there because there are black bears and wolves. Okay, now heading back down to Duluth, the median household income was just over $63,000, which is $13,000 lower than Minneapolis at $76,000. But just keep in mind though that Duluth is only about a fifth of the population of Minneapolis. And while Duluth does have multiple schools, the Duluth Public School District gets a B ranking on niche.com. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the video as well, Duluth is also home to the University of Minnesota's second location. And if you're planning on attending college there, you'll have access to one of the best schools we have to offer. And now you may know we're finally at my favorite part of the video, the real estate. Now, just as a little disclaimer, I didn't really get much B-roll of the homes in Duluth, and I went there on vacation, so I spent most of my time downtown in Canal Park areas. So you're just gonna have to roll with it. Now, the median sales price in Duluth for June 2024 was just over $334,000, which is almost $60,000 less than the Twin Cities area as a whole. So if you're looking for a lower cost of living, then Duluth is definitely the way to go. Now, as of today, the most expensive house in Duluth is $969,000, and that's a 4-bed, 1-bath, 3,500 square foot new construction home on 1 acre of land. Now, there is a little variation between the age of homes in Duluth, but after looking at some of the homes that are currently for sale, it looks like the majority of them were built in the late 20s. But there are a variety of ages going all the way back from the late 1800s all the way up to the new construction. But just know that the new construction scene in Duluth isn't going to have a vast amount of options. But just know that the ones that you do find are definitely going to be a hell of a lot cheaper than down here in the Twin Cities. Now, another disclaimer, I am not an expert at all in the Duluth real estate market, as I don't live there, and even when I do go, I go so more as a tourist. So if you're watching this video and you actually live in Duluth, I would appreciate it if you drop some facts in the comments below for the people that are considering making a move there. I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff that I missed, but hey, I tried.